Reva Kale didn't flinch when the drone slipped a golden-edged envelope through her Windows security seal with a whisper of static. It landed on her desk like a challenge. The seal shimmered, a coiled insignia of the Galactic Council, pulsing faintly as if alive. She stared at it. Not because she didn't know what it was, but because she knew exactly what it meant. No one received golden invites from the Council unless they were being cornered. She tapped the corner of the envelope once. Her retinal HUD lit up with metadata, priority status, encrypted origin, Council-level clearance. It wasn't a request. It was a summons dressed in ceremony. Her assistant's voice crackled through the comm. It's official. Treaty session. Nostra Prime. They're calling it a realignment of peace protocols. Isn't that cute? Reva muttered, sliding her thumb across the seal. The envelope hissed open and revealed a hollow scroll. Lines of ornate script scrolled into view. You are formally invited to a strategic diplomatic session to ensure long-term harmony among interstellar participants. Earth's presence is both anticipated and required. Non-attendance will be interpreted as disengagement from Council directives. Date, 4 cycles from now. Location, Galactic Hall, Nostra Prime. Dress formal. Come peacefully. Her jaw tightened. That last line, it was less instruction and more veiled threat. Come peacefully, as if Earth might forget its manners and walk in with orbital artillery. Contact the Terran Accord, she said. Book the Vox Tempest. We leave tomorrow. The cruiser. The Vox Tempest hummed beneath her feet as Earth receded on the viewport. Reva stood tall, dressed in the diplomatic black of the Accord, form-fitted, sharp-shouldered, lined with nanofiber capable of stopping most projectile rounds. The armor of a diplomat in the age of hostile peace. A staff member approached with a datapad. Ambassador Kale, Council briefing has been uploaded. 16 species in session. Primary speaker, High Chancellor Avron. Avron, she echoed, bitterly. The lizard who tried to block Earth's AI sovereignty bill. He will chair this session. Of course he would. Reva turned her gaze to the stars. Memories. She remembered her first council session, 10 years ago. Earth's representatives were laughed out of the chamber. Primitive, they'd said. Too volatile. But then came the Xenthic skirmishes, human-led guerrilla strikes that dismantled fleets in days. They weren't laughing after that. Still, the damage had been done. Treaties were signed in Earth's name without consent. Resources redistributed. Colonies denied terraforming licenses. That was why this meeting mattered. This time, Earth wasn't here to participate. It was here to expose. Nostra Prime. The orbital citadel hung in space like a jewel set into the dying light of a red giant. Nostra Prime, seat of the Galactic Council, was ancient, massive, and stank of old power. The docking bay shimmered with escort lights as Vox Tempest approached. Reva stepped off the ramp, eyes shielded by adaptive lenses. A line of diplomats greeted her, some curious, some cold, most dismissive. A tall Inari delegate, cloaked in silence, nodded politely. She noted that. The Inari rarely acknowledged newcomers. The council hall loomed ahead. She adjusted her breath. Steeled her spine. Inside the hall. The chamber was cathedral-like. Stone and starlight. The main table was an elongated oval, shaped like a broken ring, symbolizing unity always just out of reach. Around it sat representatives of a dozen species, the crystalline Voth, insectoid Chkari, the serpentine Orvax, and the ever-smirking reptilian Avron, perched at the head like a crow with too many teeth. He stood when she entered. Ambassador Kale, he purred. Welcome to the table. She didn't return the pleasantry. You placed Earth below the ring. Avron tilted his head, mock confusion on his scaly face. Protocol. Newer civilizations must sit lower until ratification. I'm not here to beg for ratification. A hush fell. She took her seat anyway. The datapad before her blinked alive, 52 pages of legalese. The treaty. Riva scanned the first few paragraphs. Her pulse quickened. It wasn't diplomacy. It was a leash. Clause after clause buried beneath trade agreements and security protocols. Mandatory oversight of Terran orbital defenses. Resource access for strategic partners. Prohibition of unapproved AI development. In short, Earth was to be disarmed, dissected, and delivered to the whims of the Union. She spoke softly. Did you think we wouldn't read the fine print? Avron smiled. We thought you'd value peace over pride. Riva leaned back. You don't know Earth. Backroom briefing. Hours later, she sat in a quiet chamber inside the hall, flanked by her 2 aides and an AI embedded discreetly in her collar. The AI buzzed in her ear, hidden surveillance in chamber. Encrypting speech. Riva turned to her team. Prepare for public declassification of this treaty. We'll leak it before they can spin it. Won't that provoke them? One aide asked. That's the point. Let them show the galaxy who they are when their mask falls off. What about retaliation? Riva's eyes burned with resolve. We're not retaliating. We're revealing. She stood and walked to the one-way window overlooking the council hall. Outside, alien delegates discussed alliances, plotted strategies. Inside, Earth was loading a bullet, words sharper than steel, truth heavier than gravity. She smiled, bitter but steady. The calm before the thunder. The chamber lights dimmed, and silence dropped like a shroud over the Grand Council Hall. A polished obsidian table stretched before Riva Kale, encircling a floating hologram of the proposed treaty. Above it, flickering in cold blue light, spun the council's insignia, a chain star wrapped in laurels. Chancellor Avron rose, robes shimmering with embedded crystal nodes, each reflecting his age and political status like medals. He pressed a clawed hand to the center of his chest and bowed slightly. Let the formal treaty session commence. The council's voice network pulsed. Translations echoed across earpieces and internal implants. Delegates from 16 civilizations tilted forward, eyes gleaming, some bored, some curious, most ready to lock Earth into submission behind ceremonial niceties. Riva didn't rise. She tapped the console in front of her, and the Earth insignia, 2 hands cradling a burning sphere, glowed silently in defiance. We're reviewing a document that demands Terran orbital demilitarization, restricted AI autonomy, and mandatory trade tariffs with enforcement clauses, she said evenly. This isn't a treaty. It's a disarmament disguised as diplomacy. Avron's expression remained unreadable. You misunderstand, Ambassador. These are stabilizing measures. Your species, remarkable as it is volatile. These steps ensure harmony. Riva narrowed her eyes. Harmony for whom? A pause. Then a low chuckle from the insectoid Chkari delegate. Avron gestured calmly. Earth's recent developments have unsettled older members. The Council simply seeks to guide integration. Peacefully. By undermining sovereignty, she asked, voice clipped. Avron turned toward the assembly, as if appealing to a jury. The Council has always offered structure, not control. Surely Earth sees the benefit of joining US in unity. Riva stood, slow and precise. Her voice cut through the still air. Earth remembers unity. We remember being told what's best for us. Told to wait, to comply, to evolve on someone else's schedule. Last time we did that, a dozen colonies starved while you debated tariff ethics. A crystalline delegate shifted uncomfortably. She stepped from her seat and walked slowly around the table's edge. The Zenthic War ended in 4 Terran days, she continued. We dismantled a fleet older than our atmosphere using strategies you dismissed as suicidal. Her eyes scanned the room. And now, you want us quiet. Tame. Predictable. Avron's smile was gone. We want you stable. No, she said, stopping in front of him. You want us obedient. He leaned in, voice low but sharp. You're dancing with fire, Kale. She didn't blink. So are you. Backroom offer. After recess, Riva was summoned to a private chamber beneath the council rotunda. Smooth black walls shimmered with security protocols. A single table waited in the center, set for two. A council aide stood guard. Avron was already seated, sipping from a crystal flask. He gestured to the chair opposite him. A more informal conversation. Riva sat, eyes fixed. He set a new data chip on the table. There's room to negotiate. Modify the clauses. Remove orbital monitoring. Add AI exceptions. In exchange, Earth opens wormhole access to its Lagrange gate system. Riva stared at the chip but didn't touch it. That's a bribe. It's diplomacy. She leaned forward. And if I refuse? He smiled thinly. Earth ships may encounter delays. Funding for your outer colonies may mysteriously dry up. Wormhole recalibrations could take years. Peace can be extended or revoked. She stood again. Her voice held no tremor. You're used to desperate species. Desperate enough to sell their future for comfort. Avron's gaze hardened. You're young. Earth has no idea what enemies lie beyond this council. We've met enough of them within it. The revelation. Riva returned to her ship. Inside her private chamber, the AI assistant's voice pulsed through her neural interface. Encrypted comms intercepted. Avron authorized interference operations. Directive, pressure Earth into inevitable compliance. Transcript. Uploading now. She scanned the data, her face expressionless. Avron's voice played back in a whisper through her implant. Let them resist. A little fear reminds the council who holds the leash. If Earth flinches first, we paint them as aggressors. We'll have their wormholes, and their AI cores, before they understand what happened. Riva walked to her desk. Her fingers flew across the interface. Leak it. Confirm? Yes. Use the Inari relay. Untraceable. Broadcast on the intergalactic net in 6 hours. Attach the treaty copy. Mark it as Council Draft 9A. Let the galaxy see what they call peace. Leak armed. Countdown initiated. Inari contact. As she exited her chamber, a silent message pinged on her HUD. Inari Observer Talion requests contact. Private deck. No security. Riva hesitated. The Inari were neutral record keepers. Always watching, rarely intervening. She walked alone to the observation deck. Talion stood near the glass, her pale robes flickering with shifting glyphs, Inari language alive on her clothing. You read the treaty, Riva said. Talion nodded. We have seen many. This one has teeth. And yet, silence from your delegation. The Inari's voice was soft. We are forbidden to speak, unless precedent is shattered. Riva stepped closer. What happens if it is? Talion's expression did not change. But her words did. Then we tell the truth. Closing scene. Riva returned to the council floor, calm and unreadable. She took her seat as the next session prepared to begin. Delegates glanced her way, curious, cautious. Avron avoided her gaze. She folded her hands, watching the council prepare for what it thought was just another meeting. Her implant buzzed. Leak timer, T-2 hours 43 minutes and 7 seconds. She didn't smile. She waited. It began with a flicker. Just as High Chancellor Avron raised his hand to resume the session, the main hall lights dimmed, not from malfunction, but intention. A low chime resonated through the chamber, unfamiliar, piercing. The council's central display, meant to project ceremonial insignias and treaty clauses, shifted without permission. A new image took form. An audio waveform. Then a voice. Avron's voice. Let them resist. A little fear reminds the council who holds the leash. If Earth flinches first, we paint them as aggressors. Shock cracked across the chamber. Crystalline delegates froze mid-gesture. The insectoid Jkari twitched erratically, antennae spasming. Murmurs bloomed like gasps under pressure. Avron stood motionless, but the tension around his eyes betrayed him. We'll have their wormholes, and their AI cores, before they understand what happened. The feed cut. Replaced instantly by a holographic scroll titled Treaty Draft 9A, Full Disclosure. Pages rolled automatically, clause by clause. Every deceitful term, every restrictive condition now public. The council was exposed. Reva Kale didn't move. She didn't have to. Every eye turned to her. Explosion without fire. This is a fabrication. Avron snapped, voice jagged with forced control. Council systems have been compromised. The Voth delegate slammed a crystalline limb onto the table. By whom, Chancellor? You think Earth did this from their seat? Another voice, Inari observer Talion, finally spoke, for the first time in decades. This feed is authentic, she said calmly. We confirm its source, Council communications, unedited. Encryption matches Avron's signature. Silence followed. The kind that weighed heavier than shouting. Avron's expression cracked. He turned to Reva, his voice low and venomous. You engineered this. Reva didn't rise. We exposed it. The Council engineered itself. A turning tide. The serpentine Orvax coiled restlessly. You deceived us, Chancellor. You claimed Earth was destabilizing peace. But it is this treaty that is poison. From the other end of the chamber, the insectoid diplomat hissed, this violates interstellar charter. Weaponizing diplomacy? An emergency vote was called on the spot. Not on Earth's treaty, but on Avron's authority. His allies stayed silent. The Inari spoke once more, precedent shattered. Truth has been spoken. Let history record this. The data drop. Reva stood now. Calm, composed, her voice perfectly steady. I didn't come here to sign away my people's future. I came to show you what diplomacy has become. A performance. A trick. She tapped her datapad. A second document unfurled across the screens. Operation Restraint, a classified council file from 40 years ago. Redacted entries, detailed logs of controlled collapses in minor species. Case studies of trade manipulation, currency collapse, civil war. All orchestrated under the guise of peace enforcement. Delegates squirmed. Some shouted. Others left their seats entirely. This isn't just about Earth, she said. It never was. A fractured council. What began as a session of quiet coercion now teetered on civil rupture. The minor species, the ones who had long sat at the lower end of the ring, gathered in hushed clusters. The unspoken was being said aloud. They were all expendable. And Earth had shown the script. I move, said the Jkari rep, that Earth retain its sovereignty. And that no treaty, of any kind, be enforced without unanimous consent. I second, came from the crystalline Voth. Votes shifted. The council, long united by hierarchy, was dividing. Lines weren't drawn by power now, but by betrayal. Private collapse. Avron stormed into his private chamber, guards in tow. Screens followed him, voices chasing after. He smashed a vase, translucent petals scattering across the floor. Aides hovered, waiting for orders. Trace the leak. Disable Inari channels. Strip Earth's vote. Strip everything. Sir, one aide said carefully, we no longer hold majority. Earth has support. Even the Inari. Then fabricate something, he roared. Say they faked it. Say it's AI trickery. But his voice was empty now. Hollow. The weight of lost control was already pressing down. Inari accord. Meanwhile, in a quiet alcove, Talion met with Reva. You understand the price of this? Reva nodded. We've already paid it. The council won't forget. I'm counting on that. Talion held up a disc. This is a formal endorsement. Earth's right to withdraw. And a secondary proposal. Riva raised an eyebrow. A new charter. Built from truth. The statement. As the council tried to recover order, Riva stood again, this time not to fight, but to finish. I hereby declare the Terran Accord's immediate and unconditional withdrawal from this council. We will no longer abide systems designed to control us. You walk away, someone asked. No, she replied. We step forward. The screens blacked out again, this time at Riva's command. Then a final image lit the hall, a new emblem, Earth's sun, rising over a field of stars. Text below it. Interstellar Accord of Equals, Draft 1A. Open to all. Subjugation not welcome. The council hall was quiet now, but not with peace. With fear. Delegates whispered behind security fields. Others stood frozen near exits, eyes flicking between each other as if trying to guess who might defect next. The ornate ceilings, once a symbol of unity, now loomed like a warning, everything ancient eventually crumbles. In the center of it all stood Riva Kale. Unarmed. Unshaken. And in absolute control. She looked up toward the massive data sphere suspended above the council floor, the Citadel's main interface. It had been the symbol of power for centuries, pulsing with the knowledge of every known species. And now, it flickered. One by one, sectors began to go dark. Earth's response. The room lit up again, not by council systems, but by Terran ones. A voice echoed across the chamber, deep, resolute, unmistakably human. This is President Elias Vorn of the Terran Accord. As of this moment, Earth formally rejects all diplomatic authority of the Galactic Council over its territories, fleets, colonies, and airspace. The galaxy will no longer be bound by lies dressed as treaties. We offer something better. Fair alliances. Equal exchange. No chains. No threats. We do not consent. Gasps. Audible and raw. Avron tried to speak, but his mic failed. So did his screen. Every system routed control to a new network, one no longer part of the Council's grid. Riva stepped forward. Let me be clear, we didn't bring weapons. We brought transparency. But we've also brought our fleet. The holomap shifted. In orbit around Nostra Prime, 20 Terran ships had arrived. Not warships, but sleek, intelligent vessels, each marked with Earth's sigil and broadcasting one message. Observe. Not invade. They weren't here for violence. They were here to witness history. The collapse of authority. Chancellor Avron stood, trying to muster dignity. You're destabilizing the entire political structure of the galaxy. No, Riva said. We're refusing to be manipulated by it. That's not the same thing. You'll fracture everything. Trade will collapse. Systems will fall into chaos. Riva didn't flinch. Then maybe they weren't built to last. The Inari spoke again, quiet, but unwavering. The Council failed to evolve. Earth merely revealed the cost. One by one, delegates began disconnecting from the central hub. Votes were rescinded. Emergency motions cancelled. It wasn't rebellion. It was abandonment. The machine that had ruled for centuries was bleeding support faster than it could process. The escort. Outside the Citadel, the lead Terran ship, Soul Watcher, sent a simple message. Clear for extraction. Ambassador returning to Accord airspace. Council security didn't object. They couldn't. They had no channels left to command. As Riva walked toward the exit, she passed a dozen faces, some stunned, some angry, others relieved. Avron, still standing at the central podium, spoke once more. This isn't over. She stopped just long enough to look him in the eye. It is for you. The aftermath. Back aboard the Vox Tempest, Riva stood in her quarters overlooking the slow spin of Nostra Prime. The Council's lights dimmed in sequence, a broken ring finally acknowledging its own flaws. Her AI chimed in her implant. Incoming transmission, 17 systems requesting protocol draft for new alliance framework. Forward them draft 1A, she said. Also, 6 minor species have asked for Earth-led arbitration. She sighed, almost smiling. Tell them we're not judges. Just equals. Return to Earth. The landing dock in New Geneva was packed. No fireworks. No military parades. Just silence. Reverent. Focused. President Elias stood waiting. As she stepped out, he offered a hand. You turned the galaxy upside down. No, she said. We just flipped it right side up. Was it worth it? She paused, looking out toward the Terran banners rippling in the wind. They listened, she said. That's a start. A new map. Weeks later, the first Interstellar Accord Assembly convened. No tears. No head table. No enforced silence. Just voices. The galaxy wasn't healed. But for the first time, it wasn't pretending. And in that honesty, Riva saw hope. She sat quietly at the edge of the assembly, watching delegates speak without fear of punishment. The Inari shared stories. The Voth offered tech freely. Even the Orvax proposed peaceful AI exchanges. It was chaotic. It was real. And it was better. Final scene. Late at night, under Earth's stars, Riva walked alone across the old Geneva skyfield. The wind was sharp. The kind that reminded you you're alive. She looked up. Beyond the clouds, she knew the old council still lingered. Its broken systems clinging to relevance. Let them. Earth wasn't looking back. Her comm buzzed. Broadcast ready. Final message queued. She nodded. Send it. Across the galaxy, one final message was transmitted. We didn't shut down diplomacy. We reclaimed it.